Hey, how's it going? I'm Edwin McCain, and this is Kelly Bell. And this is, we don't even know what we're going to call this. I mean, we're going to call this the conversation because we have
Conversations with Edwin and Kelly, but that's because Edwin wouldn't allow me to call it with Edwin McCain and his black friend.
really going to start out like that, are you?
I'm just saying.
I hear no. Okay. So just quick background. Kelly and I have been friends for 25 years. He's a brother to me, and over the years, in difficult times, and especially these horrific moments of racism, like we call each other and have these conversations and try to sort through it as friends. And over the years, you've been incredibly generous to guide me through these moments when I don't know what to do or say. And I called you again, because here it is again.
Right.
And we decided that we should have this conversation in front of people and invite them to be a part. And I just want you to tell me how you're feeling, and let's just start there.
Okay. Well, first thing I want to say is, and to anybody that's watching, Edwin and I have a very special relationship, and we also have bizarre senses of humor. Not that we're looking to poke fun at any topic we ever talk about in this format, but there are going to be times where we might be laughing. It may be appropriate, it may be inappropriate. We're not here to offend people, but we're here to come together in brotherhood and hopefully to be able to answer questions for people of all colors, of all creeds, just so that we can start a conversation, because we often wonder how this is going to change. And I'm glad you called me, but I have to say I was a little disturbed at how long it took you to call me.
Yeah, this one was bad. And usually I just call you right away, but it took me 24 hours because I'm so embarrassed and so saddened because, a long time ago, you remember I would just call you and go, hey, on behalf of white people, can I just say I'm sorry again? Remember, like, and then it's just, then it's just not fun anymore. It's like, right? Because it's just like, how many times am I going to have this conversation? I'm so embarrassed. And honestly, I felt like you were thinking, well, when's the white guilt call coming in? And I'm determined to be part of the solution, right? And I know that that I care about this deeply, but I got to know how to do it, right? And
I'm critical of you at times. I'm critical of you at times because I tell you, you got to understand that although I am black, and just so you know, I will use the term black and African American interchangeably. I am not the authority on all that is Negro. And for example, I shared with you the other day, I was driving through the countryside on my way to a local farm store, and I looked over to the left, and there was a black man walking across the street to the mailbox and then coming back across the street, and he was all, braided up, and he was Allen Iverson, like you would say,
He was Allen Iverson.
And he looked good, and he looked misplaced to me, which only threw in my own racial issues right in my face. And because I looked over like, what's he doing here? So, so that being said, I want to make it clear that, you're not the authority on everything that is white, and I'm not the authority on everything that's black, but we are brothers, and we're going to find some place in the middle and hope that we can take some people along with us.
And part of this has been, over the years, you've told me about your experience, and some of it I knew was happening, and a lot of it, and most of it, I was like, what? Not what? And I, I have a special relationship to this whole thing because I had my aha moment when I was about 18 or 19. I started playing music with this friend of mine named Kay Smith, I met, Kent State graduate and black guy, played basketball for Kent State, and it was just he and I. Yeah, it was he and I riding around in a van playing gigs together. And I didn't have any black friends before that. Really, I mean, I just didn't know anybody, and it wasn't. I didn't think I was racist at all, but I was totally uninformed and ignorant to the fact that it exists. And
you weren't racist. You were non-racist, but you weren't.
I was not
racist.
Yeah, I was non-racist, but I wasn't anti-racist, because in my mind I was like, well, that was a long time ago. That doesn't exist. Like, that's what I literally was thinking that. And then when we were riding around, he was getting shortchanged like everywhere we went. I was like, wait, does that happen all the time?
What do you mean shortchanged? Like people weren't giving him.
Yeah, well, yeah, we should clarify. Like, when he would pay for stuff at a counter, any counter, very regularly he would get back incorrect change, because whoever was behind the counter would assume that he wasn't intelligent enough to do the math. And I was like, wait a second, does that happen all the time? He's like, yeah, where you been? I was like, oh, I'm like freaking out and getting mad every time it happens. He's like, look, man, if you're gonna get mad every time I get shortchanged, like you're gonna be mad all the time. And it was just like the Matrix. I was like, I did not know this. And then of course that was my and then the rest of it, right? And so
then you become ultra sensitive to it.
Ultra sensitive. I mean, I'm that pain in the ass friend you don't want to be around, because I'm gonna make an issue everywhere we go.
Yeah, he does. Telling the truth.
If anybody glances, like why are they eating together? And forget the fact that I got long hair to my waist and I was drunk. You know what I mean? What are you looking at? I mean, but the point being, everybody I know is like, what do we do now? Well, we got to do something. And what we're hoping to encourage is, like, let's just start with these kinds of conversations. Get with your friends, have a Zoom conversation, join us for these conversations, but let's start talking about it, and let's do the things we can do to make sure that this absolutely stops. We have to and it may not, let's just do whatever we have to do. There's no magic bullets. This is going to take lifetimes. But I honestly,
well beyond yours and mine.
Hear me when I tell you this, Kelly. I love you, and I'm committed, as long as I'm alive, to do whatever it's going to take. Anything to make change in this. This has to stop. It has to stop. And again,
I'm with. And look, not to timestamp this, but I think it would behoove us to maybe give just a little bit of reference of where we are right now in the particular event that kind of brought this on.
So George Floyd, and unfortunately, as the names are starting to rack up because of the violence too, and
Aubrey recently,
and Aubrey, I mean,
I don't understand how you could get, and there is a common denominator here, which and let us say, both of us are very, very proud Americans. Both of us work extensively with the military. Both of us have a lot of respect for the police,
armed forces.
Yes, period. So that needs to be said right up top. We're not here to bash people, anything like that. But there is a common denominator just in those two events. When Mr. Arbery shot, that was by a former police officer of two different departments, and this case obviously where the guy was still in uniform. So I mean, there are some very common denominators, like black people being 13% of the population, but representing 60% of the people that are incarcerated right now. That's a today statistic. Yeah. Even in the state of Maryland, at one point where I live, and black people making up a little under 30% of the population, but making up 88% of the people who are incarcerated. That's not an accident. There have been several sociological studies done that will show that there are disparities in sentencing and everything else. So, I mean, what we're talking about is a systematic problem. You know, I mean, systemic problem.
There is, I don't doubt any of that. And I was saying today, all right, what's the first thing we can do to try to knock this down a little bit? And it occurs to me that making sure that every cop has a body camera that is maintained, distributed, and curated by an outside entity, not by the police force, so that the footage never goes missing and cameras don't go. Yeah, and they're always on and they never go missing and things are being uploaded in the cloud. We have that technology. It's really, I think that seems to me to be the quickest, safest, most approachable thing we can do now as we work on the justice system and go back with the Innocence Projects and Families Against Mandatory Minimums and all of these good people that are out here trying to right these wrongs. And let's just start it at the beginning, right? Let's take the first step, to the first bite of the elephant, but continue to have these conversations and have it be ongoing, because these are not binary issues. They're incredibly nuanced. I have a son that is, I'm going to say ethnic. I'm not going to say what his, yeah, but I guess you want to get technical.
He looks like me.
No, actually, he's lighter skinned than you, but he's a hell of a lot taller. And
don't start asking me questions. I don't know your old lady like that.
Yeah, right. All right. Okay. Yeah. Actually.
But I know where to put the mail down in your house.
That's right. Okay. But I've had to have that talk with him, right? I've had to have if you have interactions with police, they need to see your hands. They need to know you don't have anything on them that's going to hurt them. And man, that's a horrible talk to have with your son, because he's 14, right? So,
and 6'4",
and 6'4", and dark complected, and so it makes him feel sad and different, but he holds his head up and he learns how to adapt like every person of color I know, because
what choice does he have?
What choice does he have? And I had to tell him last night, because there were riots going on. You can't be outside in our neighborhood tonight, because somebody might mistake you for somebody that means harm.
Ill will. Either way.
That is a sick feeling. And again, more reason why this moment cannot go by without us fighting to change it.
Right. And so imagine, and I'll let you see behind the curtain, and I think that's what we're also here to do. And when Edwin and I talked about this, when you and I talked about this, you want to ask the questions that you know are on other white folks' mind, but they don't know whether the guy or the gal that sits in the cubicle next to them, or the one that shared that's the third bowler on their bowling league, whether they think this is an appropriate question or not. Right. And black people got that thing too, because we have this veil that we have had to have in front of white people for our entire existence in this country. We have to, for our own survival is where it started. But now it's also in an effort to protect our culture, to protect our professional well-being. There ain't one black person I know that doesn't have a white man voice or a white woman voice for the telephone when they need it. I got mine. It's fantastic. You would never know. I'm just saying. But every single one I know has that. And you and I talk about things like, we think that because after 8 years of Obama, everything, oh God, we finally had a black president. I never thought in my lifetime that I would live to see a black president, but our views were different, because when you were watching the inauguration, you saw, oh my God, this is a beacon of hope, that all the things we've talked about are finally starting to happen. And all I was thinking while I was watching the inauguration was, oh my God, please don't shoot that man on television.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, you said something to me the other day when we were on the phone talking about this idea. And even now, you still have to come to us to get this.
I'll say it. The white man has to be the savior. The white man has to continue to be the savior. And I don't mean to sound like the black guy with the chip on his shoulder. And I may, you know, well, whatever. Here it comes. Thicken your skin, because here it comes. If Harriet Tubman wasn't the only person that helped, you know, abolish slavery, you know, I mean, if it wasn't for the interactions of white folks, the advancement of black folks in this country would not have happened. Now, that's also to say that the enslavement of black folks in this country would also not happen. And don't tell me that when you see two guys in a pickup truck, one in the back of a pickup truck, hunting a man down in the street that's just jogging, tell me that didn't look like a runaway slave. I mean, they could have very easily been on horses going to look for somebody. I'm like, it's gone nowhere. Here we are 400 plus years later, and we're still rocking in the same old boat. So these are the things that we need to bring forward, that you need to ask those questions. I need to pull the veil back and let folks see things, the conversations that black people have behind your back. That's essentially what it is.
Listen, you got your white voice for the phone, and I got my black scent for basketball coach, where I don't want to seem like I'm like, hello, sir, you know, hello, interesting black guy. You know, I mean, listen, no, and you've known me for 25 years. There's no more awkward, like, well-intentioned idiot than me when it comes to this kind of stuff. And mercifully, I've had you to guide me through it, but I know a lot of people that have no clue, and they're only
embarrassed and ashamed. You started this by saying embarrassed and ashamed, and I what's crazy is that if we really had to do a scale on who's the bigger social activist between you and me, it's no question you would win. You would win, because I function more as the loud ass voice of reason that has to pull you back from walking into a school and screaming about something, or calling up some company, and I'm like,
sorry, I did it again.
Right.
And I know you told me not to, but I couldn't help it.
Because I can't keep bailing you out of jail.
Yeah. I mean, so, but here's the thing, and this is what we want to do this with you. That's the people that are watching. We want you to ask questions, post them on the Facebook. I don't care who you voted for, who you pray to. If you don't pray, I don't care who, none of those things. It's okay to be wrong in here. It's not okay to be hateful. It's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to be evil or mean. And
it's okay to be different and not necessarily wrong. And it's okay to be fearful of being wrong.
And there's no, like you taught me something the other day. In 50 years of my life, I did not know there were multiple verses of the national anthem. I didn't know that. And then I went back and read the third verse, and I felt really bad.
It's hard to sing.
No, I wouldn't. You couldn't. And nobody. But my dad didn't know that. I called him. I was like, "Did you know this?" And he was like, "No." And he went and looked it up, and he was like, And I was, because these are things a bunch of people don't know, right? And
so you're saying it's okay for me to start a petition to have Kelly Bell and Edwin McCain write a new national anthem that everybody could be proud of, because you sing it at events. You just did it at a NASCAR event recently. I've done it at many events as well, and I will continue to do it. I've done it in Spain on 4th of July on a military base. I will continue to do it because it is what we have, and I am a proud American. But I invite, if you get nothing out of what Edwin and I are trying to do today, I invite you to Google the lyrics to the national anthem, and you will find out, one, information that it used to be a British drinking song in the first place, so it's a stolen melody. But in addition to that, when it gets into the third stanza, we only sing the first. It gets in the third stanza, and it starts talking about killing slaves and indentured servants. Then people realize that this is probably something that a lot of people could have issue with. So
I just had a
don't do anything else. Please go look up the lyrics to the national anthem.
Yeah, I just had a total malfunction and dropped everything. But look, I mean, these are these kinds of hidden parts of your experience. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I had no clue about that. And again, I think a lot of people don't have a clue about it. And I think a lot of people are surprised to hear about the whole shortchanging issue and a lot of the way that we interact with each other. And
we make fun of the absurdities of life.
We do, and there's accidents that happen all the time, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding going on, and the way we chip away with that right now is just to open the conversation. And if you don't want to join us, join your friends. Have these conversations. The worst thing to do right now is to be quiet and and just hope that this all settles down, because that's just how we end up right back here in a short amount of time.
All of us at times have been well practiced at turning our head. All of us, black, white, every other color you could possibly imagine. All of us have been practiced at turning our head on occasion. And all Edwin and I are asking at this particular moment is to write into our sites and suggest a question. We may contact you privately and ask you to join one of our meetings to ask that very question, so that because you're not the only one that has that question. So, and not that we are authorities on it. But we're not two bonehead musicians that don't care about the world, ourselves, and each other and you.
Yeah, and this might, in this moment in time, this might be the most important thing we do.
Yes.
Let's have these conversations. Stephanie is going to help us moderate. Thank you, Stephanie.
Shout out Stephanie Reisner.
Yeah.
And Dr. Stephanie Reisner, sorry.
Doc, I'm calling her Doc now. So this is just the introduction to what we're doing. Post down below, ask questions. We're going to have you on. We're going to redo another Zoom. There are going to be multiple people. Please, let's get to work.
Definitely. And most importantly, Edwin, I love you.
I love you.
I love all of you guys. So please be safe out there. I know it's a little crazy right now, but be smart. Talk to your kids. And lastly, wash your damn hands.
Yes, please. Please.
We'll see you real soon. It's Edwin and Kelly. I'm Edwin. He's Kelly. I don't know. Peace.